Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, the podcast that celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Christopher Hill is our guest today. Chris is the founder of Impact Destinations, an agency whose mission it is to create impact destinations for travelers. Chris, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks, Howard. It's fantastic to be here.
I noticed a little bit of an accent in your voice. I was wondering, where are you, by the way?
Yeah, well, my accent is a bit of a cocktail, really. I've lived in Australia, the UK, and Canada, and spent a fair bit of time in the US. But I'm from New Zealand originally, and that's where I'm based now.
Okay, very nice. Now, we are heading into our winter season, so I think this means you're almost at summer time, maybe a little bit, about a month before
Yeah,
summer hits.
yeah,
Okay,
we are. Yeah.
okay. Lots of sun and everything?
It it's a little bit of an unsettled time. It
Okay.
can get a lot of rain as well, but today is a beautiful day.
Well, fantastic. It's a beautiful day here, and we're going to have a great conversation. So, I was reading a little bit of your back history and the various brands that you have been promoting over the years. But for our listeners, could you share a little bit about your background and how you came to be in this very unique part of the traveling and the impact travel, as if we could phrase it that way. But tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. At college, I studied law and business and was all set to become a lawyer. And I worked at a law firm over the summer, and they offered me a job, which I accepted. And they also, I got them to agree that I could travel for about 9 months before starting working for them. And my thinking at that point was essentially to get travel out of my system and then settle down and become a lawyer. And then in my final year of college, I ended up winning a scholarship from one of the British investment banks, part of Barclays Bank. And that culminated in me getting a job with them in London. And so I did my travel. I went through Australia and then Africa and then Europe and then ended up getting this job. And I definitely didn't get travel out of my system, though. I really just caught the travel bug and realized that really the more you see, the more there is to see. And so, however, I end up starting working in investment banking in London. And my first roommate in London, well, there was a couple of guys, but one of them, well, he ended up moving down to South Africa. And we kept in touch over the years. And then he ended up becoming a tour guide and invited me on a trip with him and his wife just to explore Southern Africa. And so this was we're sort of fast forwarding now to sort of 6 years into my time in London, so 2002, and I took this trip down there with him. And we were talking about different ideas for me to do something in the travel industry. For instance, one idea that I had was running dedicated, specialized travel photography trips for avid photographers to improve their skills. And I liked it partly, well, largely because photography is another passion of mine,
Mm.
but it's something that was already being done. And so I wanted something a bit more unique, really. And I had the idea just around the campfire one night of putting together trips that were a combination of sightseeing and giving back through volunteering. And my friend liked that idea, and he said, "Well, I've a good friend of mine is the general manager for Habitat for Humanity down in Cape Town, do you want to see if they've got a build going for when we get back there? And I said, yeah, sure, that'd be great. And as luck or providence would have it, they did have a build happening, so I was able to participate in it, and it changed my life, frankly, and it just added two extra dimensions to travel for me. And those were, firstly, it enabled me to actually engage with the local people and hear their stories and gain insights into their lives. And then secondly, it felt great to make a difference in the lives of the family that we were helping alongside to build the house. And so I got thinking, well, I've been just so enriched by this experience and I've learned some good business skills. Why don't I put in something that I'd find a bit more meaningful and fulfilling and make it easy for others to have similar travel experiences? And so that was the birthing of what became the first brand that I launched, which is called Hands Up Holidays.
Mhm.
And the concept behind it is trips that combine, like I said, it was when I was discussing with my friend, spitballing, trips that combine sightseeing with an element of giving back in it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Now I'm curious, the aha moment, which is what I would call it, when you were in back in South Africa and you were on this build with Habitat for Humanity. What was it about that experience that kind of shifted your orbit a little bit? I mean, if you're a planet going around the sun, you got a pretty standard orbit. I'm an
Mm,
investment banker. I got my love of travel. And by the way, I've never met anyone from the South Pacific, your country and the other country nearby, who doesn't like to travel. You're probably the greatest travelers in the world. But in all seriousness, what was it about that experience with for Humanity that really shifted you into this other orbit that you were about to go on?
mm. Well, I think it was a combination of the experience itself, like I mentioned, just in contrast to all the other travel I'd done in those months before I started work and then the trips I'd taken in between, where I saw some fantastic things from, Victoria Falls or Ngorongoro Crater or Zanzibar Island or the Eiffel Tower and so on. All just wonderful things. But it wasn't until I actually got to connect with the local people that it just opened this whole other aspect to travel for me that took me beyond the sights in quotation marks to actually get to interact with what now for me is the real gems of a destination is the people.
Okay.
And and so it was the amazingness of the experience plus the fact that it was by combining it with travel, it became something that was unique, which is really what I was also looking for, was to be able to get involved with something that could make as our put our stamp on it and say this is our
Okay.
USP, our unique selling proposition is this
Right.
combination of the vacation plus the giving back.
Okay. I'm curious about the reactions from the local populations. Here's this individual or here's this family coming to this location to live with us, perhaps work with us, build something. What have you found has been their reaction to this stream of visitors coming
Mm,
in and helping out, and then they go back to the comfort of their home, so to speak?
mm. Well, I think by virtue of taking the approach of always going to a community with an open mind and meaning no preconceived notions of what I think, should be done in the place, and more just asking. Firstly, asking, would you like some outside assistance? And then asking, if the answer to the first one is yes, then asking, what would that look like from your perspective? What would be the most benefit?
Mm.
And then it's up to us to sell that to our client, whatever that need is. And so by doing that, we've got the buy-in from the community. And then once we have that buy-in, universally, it's really well received, the people coming through, and helping to meet these needs. And I think as well, by this sounds, I'm probably not even phrasing it right, but because it's intentional on the part of the client as well, this is what they're looking to do, is to help.
Mhm.
Their spirit and their attitude is positive, as opposed to, obviously this would never happen, that you surprise someone on their trip. Oh, actually, today we're going to be building a house, and which could quite understandably create a negative attitude in the client, and which would translate into the negativity it would flow onto in the actual experience itself. But when you go into it with, this is what we're doing, and the positivity, that feeds on itself. And so we've just observed just amazing engagement, like I had in that um, initial time in South Africa, replicated so many times with our clients as well.
Okay. Okay. How has the evolution from hands up holidays to the impact destinations
Mm.
work, these philanthropic volunteering experiences, how has that then evolved into where you're at today in this product that you're offering?
Yeah, yeah. Well, hands up, firstly, to say, hands up holidays still very much exists, and
Mhm.
in its own entity. Um, but there have has been some really valid criticism of the, let's call it the volunteer vacation segment. Um, s- Criticism such as taking jobs away from the local people, and and that's probably a good example, because whilst that is, broadly speaking, a valid criticism, our model is actually the opposite. We're actually creating jobs in the local communities by adopting what I describe as a philanthro volunteering model. And just quickly, what I mean by that is that it's the funds that our clients bring, which is the major benefit that they bring, to pay for the materials and employ local people to do actually most of the work. Then our clients come and do the finishing touches of, say, a house to be built. And then then the client benefit, the benefit they get is the magic of that interaction that we've just been talking about. But so I mention that because, yes, there's this valid criticism. And whilst we aren't actually following those practices, we can still be tarred with that same brush to an
Sure.
extent. And so impact destinations was a bit of a response to the the negative criticisms that there was of the industry as a whole. And so made the focus purely philanthropic. So took it away from having the hands-on helping component, and saying, actually, with your funds, you can fully put it into an area where the experts can do what they do best, and still, however, unlock a unique experience for yourself. And so, for example, say on a safari day in South Africa, you can witness a rhino relocation from a reserve that's facing a lot of poaching to a better protected reserve in Botswana. So this is where you actually go into the helicopter with the veterinarian while he is darting the rhino. And then once the rhino's been sedated, then land and spend some time with that sedated rhino, and then see it get airlifted off to Botswana. So it's more around, as I say, funding these significant projects that you couldn't do yourself. But so purely the experts, only the experts and the veterinarians can do this.
Mhm.
And but still, enable you to have an incredible experience of being able to say, I saved the life of a rhino whilst on safari.
I love that. I love that. And as somebody who watches a lot of YouTube videos about some of the locations in Africa, that I would be all in for that. Who who are your clients that are have the wherewithal to be able to invest this money and then be able to go on these experiences? What are what I mean, what is it that you know about them, or how do you vet them so it's truly a philanthropic match and they know what they're getting themselves into, they know what to expect, and hopefully they're going to come away with, oh my God, I just spend time with a rhino and help to relocate it. So what's been their mindsets, these people who are coming in to your orbit?
Mm. Yeah. Well, it's I guess firstly with impact destinations or both brands, they skew to the luxury end and thus higher net worth people. But even more so with impact destinations, particularly with those bigger um, projects or experiences like the rhino relocation, which costs $50,000 on its own just to do. So there's not very few people can afford that, but obviously some do, some can.
Right.
And to answer that question about uh, th- finding the right match, that's where it comes down to one. I all inquiries that come through our websites come through to me personally, and that's my passion project is crafting these unique, tailor-made itineraries for our clients, and so that's over 20 years of doing it. I still love it, but also I can do it pretty well. But it's just entering into this conversation with the clients and truly understanding what they want to get out of it, and so it's becomes a iterative process. Once I have done the uncovering as much as I can initially, then we'll send through one or two or more suggested itineraries. And then, as I say, it's iterative, just going back and fine tuning to get it exactly right for the client. But that's all part of the service. And as I say, it's my own passion project.
It's one heck of a passion project, and one that you can look at and say you're doing good, and which in itself, I would like to think humanity, we all want to do good in some shape or fashion. What the individuals that are or individual that is going on uh this tailor-made itinerary, is this a single person, a couple? Is it, do you get families? Is it a
Mhm.
little bit of everything?
Well, it is really all of the above. It sort of
Okay.
skews more towards um, people, I would say 50 plus,
Okay.
but um, not exclusively. And obviously, if they're taking family members in it, then that could be younger. But if our sort of classics is couples
Mhm.
for impact destinations, and yeah, they tend to be in their 50s or 60s. Or what's also well, yeah, two things that are really wonderful, and this applies to yeah, impact destination definitely applies. Would be groups of couples will travel together, groups of
Mhm.
friends, and then and this is probably more so with hands up holidays, but we get intergenerational trips, which can
Mhm.
be grandkids with their parents and grandparents, and or grandkids just with grandparents. So leaving out the parents from time to time. But those are I love working on the intergenerational ones. They're extra challenging, but lots of fun.
Sure. In addition to countries within Africa, are there other where are the other destinations that
Mm.
you are taking your clients to for their experience?
Yeah, I would say, just to set the scene, about 80% of the experiences with impact destinations are wildlife conservation focused.
Mhm.
And so outside of Africa, it's Asia and Latin America. So, for example, in Asia, there is a couple. One is in Indonesia with orangutan. Orangutans are facing a habitat loss due to palm oil production, the ingredient that we find in a lot of our foodstuffs. And so the opportunity there is to fund the rescue and release of an orangutan family that's facing this habitat loss. And then in exchange for that, our clients get to go to a exclusive tract of rainforest with expert guides and track orangutans and sun bears and other wildlife in the wild. So there's that. Or in India, we offer in exchange for making a donation to Snow Leopard Conservation Fund, going out and tracking snow leopards in the wild. So there's that, as I say, and then in South America, we offer that equivalent opportunities with tracking both puma in Chile and then jaguars in Costa Rica. Again, in return for a donation to their conservation funds. But then we also have here in New Zealand the opportunity to our sort of iconic bird is the kiwi bird. And even though, I mean, every New Zealander relates to and identifies with the kiwi, very few have actually seen them in the wild. So
Really?
they're very far from common, particularly because they are a nocturnal bird and only in selected parts of New Zealand. And so we offer that opportunity in exchange for making a conservation to a Kiwi conservation fund, actually going out and spotting them in the wild at nighttime. So yeah, primarily Africa, Asia, Latin America, but then also Australia and New Zealand, and also offering in Iceland, we can track Arctic foxes in the wild.
Wow. So definitely a lot to choose from. And having my last name is Fox, I think I would pick Iceland and the Arctic fox, but I do want to go to Africa. So as you have been engaged with impact destinations and curating these experiences, what are some of the anecdotes that you hear back from these guests that are going on these experiences, and what is kind of like changing for them? Because I mean, perhaps they're used to investing in these kinds of experiences. They want to do good. They have the wherewithal via the funds to do that. But what do you hear or see when they get back and they start to talk about the experiences that they've had? What has been your reaction to those stories?
Yeah. I'll share a couple or more, but
Sure.
one was we had a family that traveled with us to Morocco, and they were, in addition to hiking in the Atlas Mountains and riding camels in the Sahara Desert and doing cooking classes in Marrakesh, they also helped build a house sorry, not a house, a library uh, at a school in rural part of Morocco, about 45 minutes outside of Marrakesh. And there, the trip went really well, as as they all do. So I didn't really dwell on it. But some months later, the clients got in touch and said, "Oh, it was the holidays," and they said our kids actually said that for Christmas they didn't want to have their Christmas gifts. They wanted to send their gifts to the children that they were playing with and interacting with at the school in Morocco. And so that really touched me. And and then just think of another story to share would be we had a client that there was oh there's many, but maybe one, we had a solo traveler I could think of. She traveled with us to Kenya, and she was a early retiree, but had barely traveled. Certainly hadn't traveled to Africa before, and so required a bit of extra hand holding, leading up to the trip and during the trip, and had an amazing time. But again, I didn't particularly dwell on it, except for she was in touch with me pretty much on the way to the airport, flying home, saying, "I've had such an incredible time. I've actually booked basically the next flight back to Kenya, and I have rented an apartment and rented a vehicle for myself, and I'm going to be spending the next 3 months here helping." And all without our involvement. It was so incredible to see the transformation in her, of someone who was so nervous about Africa. Once she got there with us, did so much that she decided to spend the next 3 months there.
I love that. I love hearing those stories. And in my work, I do a lot. I can do whatever I do virtually anywhere. I podcast here. I do podcasts outside in the field. And when I coach clients, leadership development, it's through the PC, but it would be nice to be in some exotic place like you're describing, give back, do a little work, and experience different cultures. And to be able to do that, I think is phenomenal. Chris, I was hoping you would indulge us a little bit if I go to the Impact Destinations website. If you could take us on a little tour, I think our listeners would enjoy that. So if you're up to that, I'm going to
Sure.
share my screen. And as usual, the miracle of modern technology. All right. So you should be seeing our screen right now.
I can, yeah.
All right. Okay. So take us on a tour.
A tour, yeah. Well, maybe scroll down.
Okay.
So there's
Nice.
an intro video just to
Yeah.
give a flavor. And then here, this sort of yeah, more or less sums up what I've been saying in terms of
Okay.
the sort of the three core components of all of the trips. One, that the philanthropic experience, as you can see there, we've got the rhinos, and then the next part is tailor-made, curated sightseeing for the remainder of the trip, depending on the destination you go. Uh, ranges from in Italy, exclusive viewings of the Sistine Chapel, or if you're finish your safari in South Africa, you can have dinner with Nelson Mandela's former jailer.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there's those aspects, and then a key part of every trip is the accommodation and looking to make it sustainable.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. I
Yeah,
definitely, this is exciting. And then we do have love from your fans. I love that.
yeah,
Their founder.
um, yeah.
So is this a family business? I mean, you got the rest of the family kind of dialed into this ex-
Well,
these experiences?
dialed in the context of experiencing them. Yes, absolutely. We, yeah, all the vacations we take are of this nature.
Hmm.
But my wife has been involved in the past, as
Okay.
in when we were first setting it up. She no longer is actively involved, but she was, and my boys are a little bit young to be involved in the sense of a family business. But yeah, we do trips with them. We've been, of recent note, installing a disabled accessible bathroom together in Bali,
Okay.
and that was in conjunction in addition to whitewater rafting there and hiking and snorkeling and discovering incredible waterfalls. We also recently took a road trip in Baja, California, which included a lot of wildlife encounters, plus sea turtle conservation project there that we all got involved with. And we were recently in French Polynesia, where we got to participate in a coral reef restoration project. So yeah, it's fantastic now to be able to involve the whole family in the trips.
Fantastic. I love that. And I'm a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America, and many of our journalists who are a part of this organization are very accomplished, whether it's writing, magazines, blogs, photography, reporting. And I'm thinking of a couple that would just love to be on these experiences as well. Now, you've got Echo Luxury, About Us, you've got the blog. Anywhere else? And I guess we can plan a trip here. Is this just going to take us to like a form to fill out?
I hope so.
Okay. Oh, okay. We'll see. We're going to do it now. There you go. Yep, the form. All right. It worked, Chris. It worked. All right.
Phew.
So if we've got the blog, let's see what we have here. Oh, that's nice. Nice infinity pool. So as you kind of look back and the work that you have been doing through the Hands Up holidays and now the impact destinations, what's been your biggest aha moment? As you answer that question, I want to go back and stop sharing. Uh, but what's been your biggest aha moment? Because this is I mean, you, when you were originally helping to build this house for Habitat for Humanity, that was definitely life changing. It took you on a new trajectory. Now you've been at it for a number of years. What continues to surprise you and gives you hope for what you're making available to folks that, that they've got the wherewithal and they want to provide the funds and the donation, but they also want the experience. What's been your biggest, wow, I get to do this?
Hmm. Yeah. Hey. Well, if we go back to when I first set up Hands Up Holidays so we launched in 2006. At that point, I had in mind as our target audience was young professionals, 25 to 35-year-olds, cash rich, time poor, who wanted to have a great vacation and also make a difference. And I should add, I had people from the UK as our major sort of geographic market. But right from the beginning, firstly, it was American booking with us overwhelmingly, and that continues through to today. Like 90+% of our clients are American,
Oh, wow.
and yeah,
I would
so that
not
was
have
an aha.
expected that, by the way.
Really?
I
No,
would not.
well, I yeah, even without you're specifically targeting the US at certainly at the early stages. As I say, there was bookings from out of the US, and that has continued at 90+% for these nearly 20 years now. I think there's something in your guys' DNA that makes you more generous and compassionate overall. Um, it's certainly been my experience. But then the other aspect that was the aha was that we were getting of the American clients, a lot of them were families
Okay.
booking these Hands Up Holidays trips. And that was another aha for me because when I was setting it up, families weren't even on my radar at all. It just didn't even cross my mind that families would want to be traveling with us. But I'd ask our family clients, why are you booking with us? And they'd say things like, our kids come from pretty privileged backgrounds and we really want them to appreciate how fortunate they are. Or they'd say, we're looking for a great family bonding experience and this nails it for us. And so that really did resonate with me and certainly resonates even more now that I do have children of my own.
Okay.
And so I think for me, those were sort of key aha moments. And it's the feedback that we get both from the communities and from our clients that is what gets me out of bed every morning. It being able to open the inbox and see these responses from our clients and, as I say, from the communities that we're working with, that makes me feel so blessed to be able to do this that I love, and I'm just incredibly grateful for it.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you sharing that and giving us with that moment. I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit. I mean, you founded a number of companies. I know you can do this. What would be your pitch to our listeners about if they have the wherewithal, they have some time, they have the money, and are able to do this? What would be your pitch to them of about why they should uh, consider, and whether it's hands up holidays or impact destinations, why should they do this?
It should be done because it enriches your travel experience so much to actually get that level of engagement and connection with communities, and to think long term, particularly if we're focusing, I will focus just quickly on that impact destinations around, as we've heard, a lot of these opportunities there are conservation related. And so that's around, I think it should be done because you can leave that legacy for future generations to be able to also enjoy the wildlife that and the beauty of this earth that we're all in. And so I feel it's incumbent upon us to make travel a force for good, and we can personally do so either in a hands-on way with the hands up holidays, or in a pure philanthropic way with impact destinations.
Very good. I appreciate that. And it's funny. I was going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask it, but I think I already know the answer because you just shared it. Is, given the work that you have been doing these last 20 some years, do you have hope?
Yeah, I do. I do absolutely have hope. I think that people are increasingly aware of the the need to conserve species. And then secondly, I think that certainly when I've seen that the changes in our client, it what we offer can be an antidote to the othering that we see a lot these days, of other in terms of people who aren't quite the same as us,
Mhm.
putting them in another category, which can dehumanize people. And by virtue of uh, traveling and getting that engagement and connection with other cultures, then that othering vanishes, and you see that we have so much more in common than in indifference. And that I'm hopeful when it becomes more, let's say, mainstream, but doesn't even need to get to mainstream, but it can just build more and more momentum around um, recognizing the humanity in everybody.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. And as somebody who lives in the United States, and I'm still very surprised that 90 plus percent of your clients are from here, but because I'm glad to hear you have hope. I mean, it just because I mean, we're going through strange times here in the U.S., but it's. I think it's wonderful to experience or live vicariously through the work you're doing or on these videos. There's people out there caring to take care of humanity as well as the living, breathing animals that need our support. And so I love the fact that you have that hope. So thank you for that. Chris, before we head out, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience, or just any is there like a favorite, all these destinations you've been planning, is there a favorite place you just like have to get back to, pulling you to go back?
Yeah, gosh. Oh, there's many that I go to at a drop of a hat, but you being Howard Fox, will circle back to Iceland actually, because Iceland blows me away. and with the Arctic foxes there, that's the cherry on top. But the glaciers, the waterfalls, um, the volcanoes, each day, if you do a circle of the island, brings about new wonders, and that uh, is, I mean, obviously the geysers as well, and the hot springs, just a remarkable destination, and so yeah, it's one of my favorites, and I would love to get back there.
All right. Well, I certainly hope you get back there. I certainly hope I do go there, but Northern Lights are also on my list. So that's
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah.
that too. Listen, before we head out, just for a reminder for our listeners, the websites that you would like them to go to learn more about you and your work, where would you like to send them?
Oh, thanks so much, Howard. So for the trips that have the volunteering component is handsupholidays.com, and for the pure philanthropic component, that's impactdestinations.com.
Excellent. And I know we've got our social sites on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll provide those backlinks as well. I'm going to be there's a word I usually use. Chris, I would love if I could take some photos from either Facebook or you want to share with me. I'd love to share some of those up on our show notes on our website, if that's okay with you. And
that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Excellent.
Feel free.
Opportunistic was the word I was looking at. See, it's my podcast. I'm trying to be opportunistic, but Chris, I am so very grateful that you were able to take some time out of, I'm sure it's the end of your day or very late in it. You probably don't sleep at all, but thank you so much for joining our listeners today on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. And what you're doing is wonderful. And it's just great to hear the stories, and you definitely light up the more you talk about it. So that's always a pleasure to see when I'm recording these episodes. So thank you very much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Howard. It's been a blast.
Excellent. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a very quick close, and you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Sure.
All right, folks, this is really just what a phenomenal episode. So appreciate Christopher Hill taking time out of his day just to chat about his life's work, everything from starting up Hands Up Holidays back in the 2000s to Impact Destinations today, and so many ways that you, either through volunteering or just whether you have the funds and the time, just through your donation, making that impact in the community wherever it is around the world. And I really appreciated Chris sharing the various ways his company is helping at least 90+% of his clients from the US go on these types of experiences. But just a wonderful way for individuals and families just to make a difference in the world and to really think beyond just the collecting things, but these experiences. I mean, they will last a lifetime, and really appreciated Chris sharing those stories. Now we're going to provide backlinks to both the websites, handsupholidays.com, as well as Impact Destinations, and also the social sites as well. As for us, you'll be able to find this episode on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The YouTube of this podcast will be up on YouTube, and you'll see the video that included our tour of the Impact Destinations website as well. And of course, whatever destination you go to, you can always download this episode or any other episodes and from your favorite podcast platform and listen to it on your way, wherever you're going. So folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a fantastic day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.